Hi book nerds, welcome back to book club, and today we are going to be going over Let's Split Up by Bill Wood. I actually saw the sequel to this book when I was traveling first, then I realized it was a sequel and I didn't want to make the same mistake that I did with Prom Night for Slasher Victims, so I bought the first book first, then I'm going to read the second one probably at a later time, maybe right after this one, I don't know yet, but I've been getting really into like the slasher genre lately. Movies, video games, stories, and I have a couple slasher books and I'm really excited to read them. So I kind of want to just read them. I know it's like the middle of summer, but I'm fine with that. But we're going to be doing this a little bit differently. So normally how I do my review videos is that I read the entire book and then I talk about the book, the characters, the plot, whether I liked it or not. We're going to do something a little bit different. I haven't read the book yet. I know, shocker, right? I haven't read the book yet. I'm starting the video. What's going on? Well, I don't know how many chapters there are in this book, but I feel like every 3 to 5 chapters, I'm going to record and tell you guys what's going on in the book. We're kind of going to go through this journey together, and the reason why I want to do this is because it takes me so long to just read a book and then finally get to recording. It's like two different hobbies. Recording and reading are two completely different hobbies. They take a lot of time, and honestly, I think it might just be easier for my review to happen as I'm reading the book. You get to see like my actual real life reactions, my thought process, what I think is happening, whether or not I find the book really boring as I'm reading it or not, and I think it'll just make the process a lot more fun, not only for me, but also for you guys who are watching at home. So, this is going to be very exciting. I want to start reading this today. So, let's get started on Let's Split Up. It's giving Scream vibes a little bit. And if you haven't seen Scream, I would highly recommend watching it. It's such a good movie. Alright, let's get to it. Hi y'all, I just finished 5 chapters of Let's Split Up. I am currently at work, so I'm in the back trying to be quiet about this. I got that far into it. So far I've been really enjoying it. There was a prologue where 2 students from the high school died, and now we are following along our main cast of characters, Amber, Cam, and Jonesy. We're just learning a little bit about them, their life, their backstory. Cam's mom goes out of town for work. Jonesy has divorced parents, and Amber has not like super religious parents, but like kind of normal Christian parents, I guess. I don't know, they made a fact to say that, but that's also because Amber is bi. Jonesy and Cam are kind of flirting with each other, and that really like, are we flirting? Are we not flirting? I think he kind of likes me, I think not. It's just like kind of cute, and they got a new introduction to someone new to their school, Buffy. That is actually the character's name is Buffy, and I love this, and I love that I'm finding like horror references, TV show references, movie references, because there was a Clive Loomis, and it's actually so funny. I'm listening to the Scream soundtrack as I'm reading this book, and I love Scream. It's one of my favorite slasher franchises. It's the one that I go back to all the time. And lo and behold, there was a Clive Loomis, and for those of you who have seen Scream, Billy Loomis, I'm making the connections, but also Dr. Loomis from Halloween. I feel like I'm getting all the references, but to me it's like this is a reference to Scream and not a reference to Halloween, because I watched Scream, not Halloween. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this. I'm hoping I could find more references like that throughout the book. They've also, I feel like the names that I've been getting that they're just kind of throwing around, like they've just said around like a couple names and I'm like, okay, we have like Chief Rogers, there's someone whose last name is Jones, they called out a name Daphne when thinking that might be Buffy's name, so I'm like, okay, Scooby-Doo names. Am I gonna get like the rest? Oh, like am I gonna get Velma later on? Like I'm just excited to what references I can handle or like what I will find. But anyway, I'm gonna put that down and swap over my arm. But anyway, so far, 2 characters died in the prologue. Brad and Shelley, star football player and cheerleader, very basic. They died in a manor house fire. We actually see how they die. It's like a ghoul appears. Brad's doing like a camera, little TV, ghost hunting show. It's really fun. So far, it's very interesting. The group is just kind of like, oh, they're really pushing this like ghost model on everyone. Like, oh, the ghost did it. The ghost that died in the house fire 75 years ago, they died the exact same way. Even though in the prologue we see that's not exactly true. What's gonna happen next? What's happening? What's going on? Kind of thing. But the group is still kind of like, let the professionals deal with it. How much bullshit is that they're propagating this ghost story that it was the ghoul of this manor when people died. So they haven't really gone into the actual like, yeah, we're gonna figure this out kind of thing. But I don't know, I don't know how to feel about it yet. It's fun. I love trying to find the little references and Easter eggs to movies and TV shows that I know of or have seen before. But for the most part, nothing super interesting is really going on. We're just kind of learning more about the characters. And yeah, that's really about it. I'll see you after chapter 10. So I already told you about the first 5 chapters that I read. I read 10 chapters more. I was going to talk about the next 5 chapters and the next 5 chapters after that, but I am halfway through the book already, and what ended up happening was that I went out to eat by myself, and I brought my book with me, and I didn't remember to record myself reading, so I don't have that video to show you either. And yeah, that's why I'm halfway through the book already, and I've been meaning to make this video afterward. It was a few days ago, but I still remember everything. So we got a good idea of who our characters are. 2 kids, are dead. We find out it's a murder, and Buffy wants to find out more about the manor, about the town legend. She's new in town, so she doesn't really know it. And she's very forceful about learning these things. It feels like she's more of a plot device to get the story to continue to go forward, because when Buffy sees the reporter who's made the tragedy about the ghost story, she goes up and talks to him, making everyone else follow her to go talk to him. She decides to go to the library to get information. And then they spent a whole day just in the library looking through all these old files and archives, only to find out that the files and archives that they need got torn out of the newspaper clippings that they wanted to read. So someone else was there before them, and the librarian doesn't have an idea who, but knows it was before the previous year. So it feels like Buffy really is like the main plot-driven force. She does have a personality, but it's just really weird. I don't really trust her that much. And it's really interesting reading through this, because while I'm reading it, it's enough to keep me engaged. It's enough to keep me to keep reading on. But when I sit down and think about it, it's just kind of boring. So they go back to school, and the best friend of one of the victims stands up, starts making a speech about how dare the town think of the ghost story as real when people died, and the families are grieving, and he's grieving his friend, and his friend's mother is like a mother to him, and he's gonna find the son of a biscuit and kill him himself, and then the teachers drag him off, and then later that same day he winds up dead. So then the little group, Jonesy, Cam, Amber, and Buffy, they decide to go to the manor themselves and investigate. And so they decide to sneak out, despite the fact that there's a curfew up and going, despite the fact that they know that, this is like horror movie shit, and that they shouldn't be doing this. They should just leave it to the police, but they know that the police are kind of useless and that the FBI isn't going to come in swooping and saving the day. So they sneak out, and they sneak into the manor. They pass by the one cop that's overlooking the crime scene, and they start their investigation. And that is where I'm currently at, is like the beginning of it. One person, they even like talk about not splitting up, and how they decide to split up anyway because they need someone to be like to be on watch. And they're just going around the first floor. They go into one room, see the word carved library into the floorboards, and decide to go upstairs to try and find the library, which I think is really weird. I don't know many manors or mansions obviously I'm a poor person. I don't live in a mansion that has the library upstairs. In most fiction, I know that they're downstairs. At least that's from my understanding. But yeah, so I was very confused when they all decided to go upstairs, and then that's where I stopped. And yeah, hopefully I can read a little bit, if not tonight, because I did just finish playing kickball. I'm in my pajamas. My face kind of hurts. I don't know if you guys could really tell that my eye, it doesn't look proper, I guess. I did have that's where I'm at in Let's Split Up. I wonder what's gonna happen next, but also I feel like I could just stop reading this now and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I have too many unanswered questions, and not even about like the murder or the ghost or about the characters. It's mostly about Buffy, because Buffy is weird. She's strange. She's a plot device. She doesn't really have that much of a personality other than she's forceful. So yeah, I'm just mostly curious about Buffy more than anything, not even about like the actual murders that happened. So I don't know why, but I was expecting this to be like an actual like slasher, like prom night for slasher victims, which I have a video of that. I'll put a link in the description, or I'll show it up here, I guess. But yeah, let's keep going. Hello, book nerds. I have finished Let's Split Up. Oh, it's the wrong way. There we go. If you recognize this knife, good. You should, since we're talking about this book. So I know I was trying to do every certain amount of chapters. I would talk to you guys, tell you what's been going on. The last clip, I was very tired. I was talking about how the characters were in this manor. They were looking around, and I didn't continue reading that night. I continued reading at work after that, and then I read at a restaurant. And at that restaurant, I finished the entire book. So I did not keep you guys updated as promised, but I can talk about what happened in the rest of the book after I was discussing them being in the manor. So they went to the manor. They found the word library scratched in. There was no library on the main floor. They went upstairs. They didn't find a library upstairs either, but they heard a scream. They go back downstairs, and Cam, who split up from the rest of the group, was gone. So now everyone's freaking out. Where did Cam go? Is he okay? Did the killer get him? The cop outside is still there. What is happening? They figure out there was a secret entrance that went underground. So everyone goes underground hoping to find Cam, and there is a dark trail that splits up into 3 paths. So once again, they split up. God, I want to say roll credits, but that's like the wrong thing. So Jonesy go off in one direction, Buffy in another, and Amber straight ahead. Jonesy actually finds Cam in another hidden room. He was knocked out, he was tied up. Jonesy helps him. He's like, hey, did you hear anything? Did you see anything? And Cam's like, no, I was hit over the head. I must have blacked out for a few seconds. I heard someone sneeze. He's like, that's all I really knew. So then they go back. Amber's going down her little way, and she ends up thinking that she hears someone behind her, and she's kind of freaking out. She's like, oh my god, this is happening. And she kind of falls over and sprains her ankle. But it's just Buffy coming up behind her being like, oh my god, you have to come look at this. So they then go down Buffy's way, and it's just all of this like manners, like memorabilia, all newspaper clippings about it, anything about it at all. It's like this dude is obsessed. Like whoever this person is, they're obsessed with the manor and the ghoul and the story and all that stuff. So it's very crazy. Very crazy. So they go back through. Jonesy and Cam come through, and they're like, oh my god, guys, you have to see this. They show them around. They're like, holy shit, we need to get the fuck out of here. So they get the fuck out of there. And they're like, we're just gonna skip school. We're not gonna go. We just want to, we're gonna have to rest. We've been out all night. So they do. And they reconvene later after they sleep. They have the camcorder. Amber watched it, and she was very horrified at what it was. It was basically just everything that we saw in the beginning of the prologue with the whole like ghost show, except that the camcorder was still rolling when the ghoul, like, stabbed the two students that died. So she saw all that, and when she reconvened with everyone else, she told them that, hey, I put that camcorder in a bag with an anonymous tip that it was in the manor, and she gave it to the police and ran off. So everyone's like, yeah, we don't blame you for doing that, especially after what you told us was on the camera and the footage. So yeah, we don't blame you for that. That's absolutely horrifying. So then they're all like, okay, we gotta, like, figure this out. Let's try and hope that, the police are gonna be able to do something about this, and let's try and drop it for a little bit. So then we get Cam's point of view, and this is where it turns really Scream-esque. And honestly, I love this so much. Like, oh my god, which, by the way, Scream. I do have a ghost face mask up there somewhere. I have the whole costume. But I just love using this knife as a prop. I like to stick it in between books, and it's just so fun. It is a fake knife. It's fake. It's not real. So Cam is by himself. His mom went off to work outside of town, and he's just washing dishes, and then there's a call. He answers it, and it reminds me so much of, like, the beginning calls of the first, like, 3 Scream movies.
Hello?
And I'm a big Scream fan. I love watching the Scream movies. I haven't seen the newest Scream movie yet, though, so please, no spoilers. I really want to watch it. I've been avoiding spoilers to, like, high hell. I've been waiting for it to come out in my town, and it just isn't. Alright, so, they call up Cam. They're like, well, aren't you being a good boy doing your dishes? I know your mom's not home. Like, oh, wouldn't it be a shame if something were to happen to her? And he's, like, freaking out. And he's like, I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna call the police. And we get the most Scream line ever. If you hang up, I'm going to gut you.
You hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish, understand?
I swear to God, this is a word for word of the intro of the first Scream movie. I just love the Scream movie, so, like, reading this and being like, oh my god, it is a Scream movies. And then Cam gets tricked into opening his door outside, and nothing's there. A camcorder is, like, pretending to be like whimpering, whispering, crying out for help kind of thing, and he thinks it's his mom because he's like, oh my god, the dude knows that I'm alone. So then when he turns around to get back into the house, who's standing there but the Carrington ghoul, and he's like, oh my god. So he tries to run back out the front door, but he locked it like how Sydney does.
She's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
When Sydney is trying to run from Ghostface in the Scream movies, and when he finally gets the door open, he gets stabbed through, like, the middle of his stomach. So, not quite like Sydney. Unfortunately, Cam is not a final girl, or maybe he is, because the next day, Amber, Buffy, and Jonesy all hear about it, and they're like, it's okay, Cam's fine, he's in surgery, he's unconscious, he's at the hospital, he's in a coma, so he's alive and well. Jonesy is furious because that's his boyfriend. That's his little buddy that he likes to kiss. You gotta kiss the homies goodnight, guys, even when there's a killer around that's just killing students. Don't read this at night, guys. Just don't read this at night. So, Amber, Jonesy, and Buffy decide that they are going to set a trap. They're angry. They are furious. They're like, how dare this dude attack Cam? The police aren't going to do jack shit. They let so many kids get attacked and killed and all this stuff. So they're like, we are going to set a trap and get this guy ourselves. So they go around town saying that they're going to be alone. They're going to be doing this, blah, blah, blah. And they start getting ready to pull the trap. Buffy and Amber are alone at Amber's house. Jonesy is there waiting with a baseball bat. They're all armed. They got a fake mannequin to kind of, like, prop up on the couch with Buffy there. And then they hear someone coming up, like, the gravel when it's, like, midnight or 1 a.m. So they hear someone coming up. And they spring to action. They fling open the door and they crush someone's hand, and they're hearing all these things. Jonesy set up a trap so when they go out the back door, they're caught in this web and electrocuted. Turns out it's a kid that went missing. A kid that wasn't dead, but a kid that went missing. Interesting. So, they find out that the kid has a note in his pocket, and it says, "You thought you really could, try to pull one over me. If you ever want to see Cam or his mom alive again, then you come over to the manor and we'll settle this one-on-one." That's another thing. There's so many like Scream references in my brain because Cam's mom is now missing. No one could get a hold of her. And it just reminds me of how Sidney Prescott's dad in the first movie was also missing and no one could get a hold of her. So it's just a lot. There's just so much. And I did skip over a couple scenes in the book, but I feel like this is like the most important stuff that's happening because, it's for the characters and stuff. I'm not gonna like explain how they don't really unravel the whole mystery. I feel like I guessed who it was pretty early on. I didn't say anything in the videos because I didn't really want to, because my main few suspects was the chief, the reporter, and the teacher. I thought it was the reporter for the longest time, because I just watched Happy Hills Homicide, the second game, and I don't know. I thought it was the reporter at first. It wasn't the reporter. So they go to the manor. They all go out and they're like, we gotta save him. We gotta do all this. And lo and behold, it's their history teacher. Now, I didn't really pay much attention to the history teacher in the beginning of the book, but it was the history teacher that was this big fanatic. He bought the manor. He wants to find this treasure that this dude left behind. He thinks he finds it, and he's going to open up the secret wall, and he wants to see their faces while he gets the treasure. So he opens up the wall. He wants to see their faces of disbelief as he has the gold for himself, and then he's going to kill them all in a fire, just like how it was, all that long time ago, how the original dude died. There's no gold. Where's the gold? Where's Cam? Where's his mom? So they go upstairs. They find Cam. He's tied up. He gets himself released, and Amber grabs a candlestick, starts smacking him with it. Jonesy gets choked out. Cam gets choked out. Buffy's trying to fight him as well, but she gets injured too. So essentially what ends up happening is that while he's like all discombobulated, the teacher, the killer, Amber knocks him in the head, and she grabs his knife that he had. He had like a giant butcher's knife, which is what he was using to like attack all the students. And there was another line at this point where it reminds me of Scream, where it's just, there's always like that moment where the killer comes back up for like after the final time, which is why you always shoot them in the head. And so she was literally that line is in this book, and it's just making me think about Scream. And of course, the killer, the teacher, does get back up, and we're not detailed very much, but it just says that she has the knife, and she makes sure he doesn't get back up again. And she's very shaken about this because she just killed someone. Well, yes, it was to protect her friends and all that, and this is such a fun and interesting book. And I could get over the fact that it's first-person point of view, although I will say I think it's really weird that the prologue is third person, but the rest of the book is first-person point of view, but I could get over that. Anyway, at the end of the book, Cam gets back to the hospital because that's where he was abducted. Everything was explained that his mother was abducted because she saw him walking to the manor. The police, was like, "Oh, thanks for helping out." It was a bit of a doozy, and they all basically curse out the chief of police, being like, "What the hell is wrong with you? We risked our lives because you weren't doing anything. You were useless." And Amber gets therapy. We kind of learned that Buffy wasn't really like super suspicious. But like, it's explained in the book that while Buffy was super suspicious, she explained to her friends that the reason why they moved to the town in general wasn't because her mom found work here, but it's because she was being extremely ostracized by her community at her old high school, because when she had a fight with her best friend, who had severe heart problems, her friend had a heart attack at the top of a staircase and fell over, and everyone thought that she killed them. So yeah, she's like, "I'm so sorry, like, that's why I've been so freaking weird about this, but that's why I've been so gung-ho about getting justice for these kids, is because no one believed me, and I wanted them to have justice, and it's just my way of coping with all this, and I really miss my best friend, but I really couldn't handle all the pressure." So we kind of get more of that, and then we have an epilogue, where it's talking about how they all have, you know, scholarships to their colleges and stuff like that. They made their own investigation service, and they're just like, we're really good at these investigations. And it felt very Scooby-Doo. I mean, this whole kind of thing felt like a darker Scooby-Doo, but yeah, it just reminds me of when Scooby-Doo did a spoof on Scream during like a commercial. It just made me think of that at the end. And this was a really good book. Honestly, 4 out of 5 stars. I probably would have given it more if it wasn't for the fact that it is first person. I can get past that. I was able to get past it, but it was still kind of like a, why did you go third person in the prologue and then first person for the rest of the book? That, and not even in the epilogue did you go back to third person. I don't understand that. But I really liked it, and I'm not going to keep it a secret of what book I'm doing for the next video. For the next video, I'm in fact the sequel to Let's Split Up, Be Right Back by Bill Wood. And honestly, this is the book I originally saw when I was at Barnes & Noble. Be right back, because I was thinking about Scream, and this is a very iconic line in Scream. Don't say you'll be right back, because you won't be back. Hey, I'm getting another beer. Do you want one? Sure. I'll be right back. It's the most iconic lines. One of the more iconic lines, I should say, because Scream in general is just iconic. So, Be Right Back, I saw this book first, and I didn't want to make the same mistake as I did for Prom Night for Slasher Victims, so I double-checked to see if this was the first book or the second book. Found out this is the second book of a series, which is how I got Let's Split Up. So, and of course, Scooby-Doo, Scream, mix, hello, of course I'm gonna get it. So I got this book, and then I got this book, and now I could finally read this book. So, I am very excited to read Be Right Back. This is going to be the next book. Hopefully, I'm going to try and do the same format that I tried to do for this video. Every few chapters, I'll, you know, see you guys and I'll explain what's been going on. I'm so excited. But yeah, that was Let's Split Up by Bill Wood. It was a really good book, 4 out of 5 stars. My favorite character, I don't really think I had a favorite character, which is probably why this is also not like a 5-star book for me. Like, overall, I loved how much it reminds me of Scooby-Doo. I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan. I love Scream. I've been getting really into this type of genre. But I didn't really have a favorite character. They all kind of felt flat a little bit. They didn't really have, like, much going for them. And I felt like halfway through the book, it was, like, boring. Like, I was at page 151. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of boring. Just a little bit. I mean, it's keeping me entertained enough, but there's no real substance to it. Until I got halfway through the book, and then we started getting the actual, like, Scream, Scooby-Doo, mystery, tension, the horror thriller of it all. So, hopefully, this will be a little bit faster in that. I mean, I know there's no real way to rush this, especially because, you know, you need that momentum to build up, that suspense. But I feel like Prom Night for Slasher Victims did it, I don't want to say better, because they are two different types of books. This isn't technically a slasher book, despite the fact that it does remind me a lot about Scream, which is a slasher movie. It really did feel more like a Scooby-Doo mystery, but the mystery wasn't really there, I guess. But I'm very excited for Be Right Back, and I'm very excited for the next video. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what books remind you of Scream or Scooby-Doo, or just the slasher horror genre of like the 80s and 90s in general. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next chapter. Bye!
You like scary movies?